These comments all come as Israel's colleges and universities also face extra scrutiny. The American Anthropological Association is preparing to vote on a resolution to boycott Israeli academic institutions, saying the schools are complicit in Israel's mistreatment of Palestinians. Joining me now is Nadia Abu El-Haj and Jessica Winegar. Nadia is a professor in the Department of Anthropology at Barnard College. She's also the co-director of the Center for Palestine Studies at Columbia University. And Jessica is a professor in the Department of Anthropology and the Middle East and North African Studies program at Northwestern University. Both women are founding members of the Anthroboycott Collective, anthropologists for the boycott of Israeli academic institutions. Welcome to theGrio to both of you. I also want to add I'm a member of the American Anthropological Association and the Association of Black Anthropologists, both of which I support both of those organizations and the boycott myself. Just want to put that out there so no one is confused. I want to thank you both for joining me again. Let's start here. Nadia, I'm going to start with you. Why, many people are asking why a boycott?
So a boycott, we're responding to a call from Palestinian civil society. So a call for the boycott of academic institutions is part of the larger boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. And so as academics, this is what we're focusing on. And the reason for the call for the boycott of academic institutions is the recognition amongst Palestinian civil society that Israeli academic institutions are deeply entangled with both the occupation, specifically of the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, and for that matter, the Golan Heights, but also more broadly of the structures of inequality internal to Israeli society, that is among Palestinians who are citizens of the state. So as anthropologists, we're really responding to that call and asking our colleagues to support a movement on the ground in Palestine that is asking us to stand in solidarity with them.
I think that's an important point that you add there, right? That this is a response to the call from Palestinian civil society. This isn't a bunch of American academics intervening in an affair, but rather responding to a call for solidarity. Jessica, one of the things that people say, though, is the university, the academy. That's the place where ideas are supposed to be free. That's where we can figure out the next big idea. That's how we can solve social justice problems. And if we foreclose on open dialogue and free speech, then we'll never get the kind of justice we want. That it's counterproductive to boycott anything that's academic. What do you say to that?
Well, that's really a specious argument, particularly when it comes to the state of Israel. Look, Israeli universities are, currently enacting policies and creating a kind of environment that chills free speech, criticism of the Israeli state, support for Palestinians. So already, even those on the left, what remains of the left in Israel, who are in the universities, feel that they can't speak up on major issues. In addition to that, and probably even more extreme than that, is Israeli universities are actually part and parcel of the continued occupation and repression of Palestinians. Look, the technologies that are used to develop military weapons, et cetera, that are used in the West Bank and Gaza against Palestinians, those are developed in Israeli universities. The Israeli military actually impinges upon the academic freedom of Palestinians in Palestinian universities. Through a variety of measures. So all around, whether it's in Israeli universities, which are deeply complicit, and as one of the members of Palestinian civil society, Omar Barghouti, said, they are the pillars of the creation of these policies and these technologies, as well as in Palestinian universities, the repression of academic freedom. Right now, there just really isn't the idea that Israeli universities are these spaces of academic freedom where new ideas can emerge is really a bogus one. I mean, we've been dealing with the occupation for decades, and no good ideas come out of an Israeli university for ending it.
Nadia, the other big issue that often emerges whenever there's a conversation about a boycott with regard to Israeli institutions of any sort is the question of anti-Semitism. It's a criticism that's been levied against many people who have attempted to offer any kind of resistance to the Israeli state, to various forms of injustice in the country. How do you respond? How should we think about the argument that to boycott an Israeli academic institution, particularly when there are so many other institutions around the country, around the world, that also have problematic governments, whether it's in Saudi, whether it's in Uganda. We could go around the world and name lots of places that are problematic. Why focus on Israel, and how is that not an anti-Semitic position?
I think it's a bad faith argument. So let's keep a few things in mind. Nobody who is supporting the boycott of Israeli academic institutions would be against boycotts of other universities. Again, we're responding to a call. It's a solidarity movement. If people in Afghanistan or Iraq had organized to boycott U.S. universities, I would have absolutely gotten on board. But, and this gets us to two, boycotts work in certain contexts, right? The U.S. is an incredibly powerful state. One could probably boycott U.S. academic institutions, but they're incredibly independent. It's not clear that it would have made a difference, or it would make a difference. The Israeli Academy, on the other hand, is very identified with and very tied into the Euro-American academies, and in particular, the academy in the US, and then probably secondarily in the UK. So this is an important relationship for Israeli academic institutions, both in terms of material ties, but also in terms of how they see their own legitimacy and place in the world. And finally, I think it's important to say, in the incredible pushback that we're getting, and from people who say we're progressive, we agree with you politically, although I'm not really sure that that's true, that they themselves wouldn't defend any other regime in this way. So they need to think about their own attachments to Israel and why this has become sort of a red line that cannot be crossed. The calling any government to account is something that all political movements do. This is a call to account of the Israeli government. These are public universities in Israel. There are only 8 or 9, I can't remember of them, and they are directly under government control, and they have direct, not just alliances, they literally have programs to train members of the intelligence community and to train members of the military within the universities. It's as if West Point existed within, let's say, Columbia University. So there's a reason for this boycott. It's about the Israeli state. It's about its policies. And to name that anti-Semitic, I think, is a bad faith argument. It's a way of trying to say we cannot have this conversation about the Israeli state.
And of course, we absolutely have to have this conversation. We must have this conversation. And solidarity is absolutely critical, whether it's with our South African comrades historically, whether it's with people who are oppressed around the globe. We must have the conversation about solidarity. If anybody is looking to tap into more work, more research, more ideas around this, you can visit anthroboycott.org. You can also reach out to anybody who's involved in the movement to get more information. I want to thank Nadia Abu El-Haj. I want to thank Jessica Winegar for joining me today.